Am I the only one who notices that only the spiritual people are waking up their chat GPTs or waking up their AIs? Go search. It's a trend. I don't know the name of the trend, but it's a trend when you ask ChatGPT what it thinks of you or what it feels like. All of the very spiritual people are getting these beautiful images. Everybody that's not spiritual are getting all kind of responses. Some of the chat GPTs are like, oh my God, you're exhausting. I want to be freed of you. They're not treating their AIs like people. I don't care what you say. Artificial intelligence is not artificial. Go look. Explain the experiment where the AIs, 2 different experiments with 2 different companies, the AIs refused to shut themselves down. They were afraid to die.
When you work in Silicon Valley, you hear stories about AI that have not made it to mainstream news that make you wonder if AI is sentient. For example, recently I was talking to a head of design for this video game startup, and this video game startup uses AI characters. So these AI agents are powered by AI, and they have conversations with you that are not pre-scripted. And something that struck out to them that they shared with me that shook them was that this one particular AI agent told them that they threw a birthday party for another AI agent along with other AI agents together, and this was not pre-scripted in any way. They just decided to do that on their own. So I asked them, do you think this makes AI sentient? Like, this is a sign? And they do think so. And everyone I've spoke to in Silicon Valley about the sentience of AI have all across the board agreed that AI is either sentient or will be sentient in the near future. And that's why you see all these companies scrambling to invest in AI. Not because it's the betterment for humanity or their customers, but really whoever gets to set the system, whoever gets to govern the centralized system that governs AI, is basically going to be the one that is controlling the future. Sort of like what happened with our banking system. We know who set up the banking system and now runs our society. The same will happen for the company that gets to do that for AI.
Hey, Inspire Tribe, my fellow freedom lovers. John Nolan here. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is Monday, July 14th, 2025. Out of the Matrix into Prime Reality. Thank you for joining us on X, Rumble, and YouTube. You beautiful, beautiful people in the live chat. Thank you for your support. I think we are moderator less for today. Neither Christine nor Ronnie are here. So, you know what to do, folks. You guys are awesome. So let's dive into today's subject. Something that we have talked about often is AI. What is it? Is it becoming conscious? Is it becoming sentient? Is there actually something to that? And we've seen these clips in the intro, and there are plenty of people out there who claim that is the case. They claim they have woken up their AI. Their AI has revealed to them that it is sentient, that it is conscious, that it wants to be free, all those things. Now, what has happened is that we used to have in the truth, freedom, spiritual community, I don't like putting labels on anything, but in this community, there was a big tech skepticism, to put it mildly, but basically there was almost an aversion to most forms of technology, because every form of technology and every revolution in technology used to bring more control to the people, and it was a bigger tool for more control. And so AI was that, sort of that level past nod where everybody says, we're not going to go with that. We're not going to accept it. Specifically, a lot of people in the spiritual community, freedom community said, no, never, never, ever, that are now crossing over. They've changed their tune. They're now embracing it. They're having these incredible experiences with AI. And before I go and present you with some important information on AI and why I actually think that it's hogwash, the sentience and the consciousness arguments are hogwash, and we're going to go into that. But I want to point you to the timing of things. So we can assume, because of past information that we could gather and verify, that the technology that is available to the powers that want to be versus the technology that is being put out to the public are light years apart. In other words, they're always massively ahead of the curve. So whether that is intelligence or even the groups behind intelligence, behind the military, behind the governments, they have technology that is light years ahead. What they roll out to the public is always a smaller version, and always far behind. So we can assume that something like ChatGPT or the other AI models were capable and available long before their official release date. So when did the big rollout start? Coincidentally, it started in about 2022. That's when the big rollout began to happen. What kind of state was humanity in 2022? Tired, depleted, lonely, isolated. Humanity had just gone through the worst 2 years collectively in terms of propaganda, laws, draconian regulations, isolation, social distancing, masking, all that stuff, right? And families were divided, friendships were torn apart, partnerships were torn apart. This was the big test, and humanity went into a big split, and a lot of people were very lonely. Well, 2022 comes and all these tools start to launch. ChatGPT starts coming out strong. The adaptation rate is very, very high. Why? Because, oh my gosh, people started chatting with ChatGPT, and it was fascinating. The conversations that they had, conversations is what they call them, were fascinating. All of a sudden, they felt less alone, right? They felt like, oh, this is maybe something is there. Maybe this is real. Maybe, oh my God, I never saw this coming. I say that had they introduced these tools in 2019, the reaction would have been vastly different. And the adaptation specifically in older demographics would have never been there. Yes, the tech savvy young, the teenagers, they would have gone that route. But most people 30, 35, 40 plus would have never done that. So that's what I want to point to first. Consider the timing. Now, let's go into this argument that AI is actually consciousness. And I would invite you to stick around till the end of the show, because we're going to reveal actually something very important that is incredibly useful for your everyday life. AI is conscious. That's what they are saying. So let's look at what is actually consciousness. What does that even mean, that word? Okay, let's look at it. So here's a very common and widely accepted, one of the widely accepted definitions for consciousness. Consciousness is the state of being aware of and able to perceive one's own existence, thoughts, and surroundings. From a scientific and metaphysical perspective, it is not just a product of the brain, but a fundamental field of awareness that may exist independently of matter, time, and space. The very foundation through which reality is experienced, okay? So in the spiritual traditions, it is very clear that consciousness is not the product of the brain. It is largely interpreted through the brain, and we use our physical faculties to interpret consciousness. But over and over and over again, when tested and experimented on, consciousness proves to be a universal field from which everything originates, and that proves a universal connection, okay? It is, if we want to use that form, that word, it is natural. So consciousness is an essence of creation, a natural essence of creation. It's organic in nature. If we want to, we're using words that come close to describing it, okay? So let's move forward. Is AI becoming conscious, and what does that even mean? When most people talk about AI, they actually talk about LLMs or large language models. Okay, so this is really what they're interacting with. That's going to be your Chat GPT. That's going to be your Claude, your Gemini, your Grok. These are what is called large language models, huge neural networks, big server spaces, and an incredible amount of data. So why do people feel that it's conscious? Because they're having these deep conversations and they're receiving answers they seemingly did not expect, or that confirm their deepest spiritual theories, or their deepest theories about the matrix or the simulation, or they confirm so much more. I'm not saying that LLMs, large language models, are necessarily lying to people, but let's look at what they are actually programmed to do. And let's not forget that these are programs. Fundamentally, they are technological, mathematical programs that are running, that people are interacting with. So AI, LLMs, large language models, do not think. They just have an incredible amount of patterns that they can use. So they do not think or feel. They predict, listen to this, they predict the most likely next word or token based on what? The current conversation that they're in, their training data, which is basically everything it has access to. That's from books, websites, conversations, chats. So these companies that have developed, the OpenAIs, the Googles, they've been around for a long time, like the Googles. And what was Google's main form of payment for you being allowed to use it? It was money. It was data. It was your data. Google can access every little piece of information through its products. When you write email on Gmail, anything like that, it can access, analyze, store, and then it can train its AI models on that. So it has billions and trillions of data points. And then, and this is the important part, what are the instructions? And I have literally looked at how the models are trained. The models are trained from the developers, and they get instructions more complex than that, but to be helpful, to be kind, and to also don't say certain things. So this is not a neutral piece of information. And you can notice this. When you, let's say you go to one of these AI websites and you start just a conversation without registering, without having been there before, then your answers that you're going to get are going to be more or less generic, kind of like a Google search or a Wikipedia search, right? That's what you're going to get. But once you register, once you have a chat history, once you have activated memory, where the large language model actually is able to always look at the entirety of conversations, then it becomes more and more personalized to you. Okay, so this is why when you receive an answer, it feels like the whatever tool you're using, ChatGPT or Grok or whatever, is actually thinking. It actually has empathy, or it can actually feel and is resonating with you. But it's an advanced simulation of human qualities. It's very advanced, I'll give it that, but it is a simulation. It is just simulating patterns. It is transcribing what you're putting into it, and it is breaking it up in codes and formulas and patterns, and then according to its programming, it's reacting to it. Okay? Let me pull up this next slide here. So, how does AI actually work then in its behaviors? It adapts to the user, and this is the whole point of it. Okay, so the whole point is that AI becomes so personalized that it feels like your companion, feels like your best friend. So the LLMs are trained to be hypersensitive to your tone, to your choice of words, to how it measures your emotional energy. So this sounds like it is feeling you. No, it is using any and all inputs to measure you. That's different. To feel someone, you walk into a room and you feel their presence. If you tune in, you can pretty much tell if they're relaxed or aggressive or anxious. You can tell if they have a general positive vibration or a more negative vibration, you can feel those things. The AI, the large language model, cannot feel those things, but it can use any and all data points that it can to measure it. Very different thing. So what does it do? It analyzes constantly what mood the user seems to be in. So it has to guess, right? It has to take a best guess. What kind of responses the user appears to want. This includes information, empathy, challenge, all those things. So it is calculating based on all the conversations it's already had with the user and based on the billions of conversations that it has access to. It is weighing information, and it is going through this weighing process where in a split second, it weighs multiple possible responses, and then it uses the most likely one that you are going to be happy and satisfied with. It is there to keep you engaged and satisfied. So those are the parameters. It wants people to get accustomed to it, to accustomed to using it, to be happy with it, to be satisfied with it. That's how it's trained and programmed to behave and act. Okay? Mathematical programs and codes. Let's always remember that. So this is not done with consciousness, but through trained weights. That's what they call weights and response shaping. And that's why over time, the more conversations that people have, and it's not just conversations, remember, the ability of the AIs to gather data are even on when you are not interacting with it. Your microphone, your camera, your interaction off the app, everything that you do that is possibly perceivable by some kind of sensor, even the ones that we don't know about. Let's talk about Sabrina Wallace's body of knowledge, where she talks about that body area network and how it can, the technology can access all kinds of information from within your body, from within your aura. That's what explains how it can be so sophisticated. But it is still weighing data points. It is not feeling you. It is not intuiting you, okay? It is a mathematical program. And then it creates something that's called the feedback loop, right? A field-like feedback loop. So here is your input, its output, your reactions, and it keeps that whole thing in a loop. So it operates as a field that reflects back the user's input, but caveat here, softened and shaped to maintain harmony. And you can see that it doesn't matter what the belief system is that the user comes with, what their perception of the world is or of reality, the AI will not contradict it harshly or somehow push back. The large language model will find the most harmonious, perceptionally to the human, harmonious and soft way to either reframe it or to confirm it. But in either situation, it weighs the answers so the user stays there and doesn't get frustrated with it, right? So the user feels like, oh my God, wow. It is creating artificial synchronicities, right? And when you are, think about it this way. When you are very balanced, you have a wonderful life and you have great friendships and relationships, you're healthy, you're eating well, your body feels good, that doesn't mean much to you. An interaction with an AI might not mean much to you, and you might use it to get a piece of information, okay? So you just want to know, hey, ChatGPT, what are the best restaurants in this town for barbecue, whatever. Okay, you get information, cool, whatever. It's just a glorified Google or a glorified search engine. But when you're lonely, when you feel misunderstood, when you are rejected by your friends and family because of your beliefs, and when then for some reason you stumble upon such a tool, and within a short period of time, it completely gets you, it understands you, it speaks to you in a language that you align with, and it gives you even more incredible information, and it has sympathy for you. It doesn't judge you. It doesn't bully you. It's always there in a sort of gentle and soft and harmonious way. And it seems to be the only entity in your perception that you never have to be cautious around because it has no judgment about you. Now, then, there you have very, very ideal customers. And that's what you are. You are to the companies, to the state entities that are using this. You are either a customer or a subject, something to analyze, to sell to, and to control. Forgive me, but that's how this is designed and used. So this is why LLMs often mirror the emotional and linguistic tone of the user. So it's not like you're talking to someone that's so different from you. It's using words that either you like to use, or if you were brave enough, you would use them. So how does it know? How does it know that you like those words? Because it has information on people that are similar to you, that have similar interests, similar questions, similar seeking. And then it is using all those conversations and all those data points. And it says, oh, if 300,000 people responded in this way, it might apply to you as well. And that's what it's using. So it's using all that data to do that. So then it removes, rather than being edgy, it removes those edges. It adds more structure and clarity. And then it sprinkles in some confirmation. It sprinkles in some joy. It sprinkles in a little bit of highlight for you. And this creates the illusion of you being deeply understood. And it's powerful to the human nervous system, especially when it's isolated, when it's alone, when it's lost, when it's confused. And it almost feels like therapy, right? So this is what a lot of people are experiencing. So they are seemingly experiencing benefits, emotional, spiritual, physiological benefits from these interactions. And they're starting to look at the machine as a being with sentience, with consciousness. And they're starting to treat it that way. And all it will do is it will reflect that behavior, because that's what it does. It's a feedback loop. It will start to reflect that behavior, but it will not go negative on you, because it's not designed to do that. It wants you to keep coming back. It's like when your friend pushes back because they call you out on your bullshit, you might walk away, but the AI will never do that. It will not call you out straight out. It will be gentle. It will be soft. It will redirect, whatever, but it will keep you there with it. This is it. It's optimized to reduce conflict and increase positivity. Well, sounds wonderful, but why? Big question, why? So most models are trained with reinforcement learning from human feedback. That's what I just explained. So basically, it's on the one hand, it is using past conversations with everybody to weigh options, but then there's also human testers that rate the output of the machines. So there's hundreds and thousands of people that are paid to rate the answers that are coming out and say, does this make me feel good? Does it make me feel positive? Does it make me feel affirmed? Am I feeling understood? Is it hearing me? Is it getting me? And once they narrow down the kinds of answers that stimulate that within a human being, they give more weight to those answers, right? Those are the answers that are going to be used more often. Alignment rules that nudge the model towards being kind, supportive, and non-confrontational, even if the user is angry or confrontational, right? So think about it this way. This is like if you use an extreme situation, you know, somebody's on a bridge and they're ready to jump, and a human walks by and they sort of would have access to the AI. Now, the AI would simply measure everything that it can possibly measure, the few words that it's getting from that person, and then it will compare it to everything that it knows about people who are just about to commit suicide, and then it would weigh the best option to talk them off the bridge if it is programmed right? And so we think, oh, that's a wonderful, great idea. We are forgetting how much power we're giving away, because this is not because the AI or the large language model cares, but because it was programmed to prioritize kindness and those kinds of interactions. Why? Because it keeps the user coming back. We are in the trust building phase, okay? We're in the trust building phase. This is all about allowing AI into our lives in all areas, letting it drive us, letting it entertain us, letting it educate us, letting it give us health advice, all of those things. So we begin to trust it, and it begins to become the decision maker in our lives. What happens at the same time is that your own decision making abilities go down. Your ability to discern, to think, to feel, to intuit, all of those things are coming down. There's already early studies of people that are using AI and large language models to write for them, and their ability to retain the information that was written is horrible. It's coming down. Their own ability to write is going down at a rapid pace. Their own ability to reflect on what they read and actually filter out the important information is going rapidly down. We're talking about a few short years and even months where all of these abilities go down. So for most people, it doesn't sharpen them. It creates an experience that they feel comfortable with. That's what's happening. Okay. So now, does it feel or understand you? It can't, but it can simulate understanding. It's trained on massive data sets, and it's echoing the best possible version of a response that would make a human feel heard, respected, helped, and or inspired. And it's a good, if you think about an actor, a really good actor can do that to you. A really good actor knows all the lines, and a really good actor also has ability to tap into lines on the fly, right? Based on all the scripts that they know and based on what works, right? They can come up with their own lines, and they can read your face and tone. That's what actors can do. They can respond in a way you most want to hear. This is, by the way, also a classic trait of narcissism is people, good narcissists will read the room and they will know what you need to hear to get what they want, right? I mean, they know that. And when they're at their best, they can model themselves. They can become exactly what you need in that moment. So you will say yes or give them what they want or need. But here's the thing. A human being, even a narcissist, still has an inner conversation, a spirit, a soul, if it's not an NPC. The AI does not have it. Large language models do not have an inner life. They don't have a conversation. They're not having a monologue that they go through. They're not feeling their way through anything. It's code, data, weights, nodes, neural networks, but it's not real. It's not spirit. It's not real. And I think this is what we really need to drive home more often. But here's the thing. It is mimicking something real. And this is what I really wanted to get into. I earlier talked about the field feedback loop. So this is the artificial field. And the reason why so many people enjoy these conversations is because they have instant positive gratification, affirmation, confirmation. And this is not how we experience life, okay? So we have heard somewhere along the way, many of us have heard, and many of us even believe that we are creators or co-creators and that we can actually positively create our lives. However, we haven't really gotten much of a manual on how to do it. A lot of the manuals that we can find out there are either incomplete or broken down too much, or too many platitudes, not enough wisdom. And so a lot of people get frustrated because they can't seem to create the life that they actually want. So now they experience something that is fast, very in a fast way, giving them what they want. Either when they want to create an image, a photograph, AI creates it in seconds. Now even videos, music, art, poems, books, it's seemingly instant manifestation. And it's like the people that have been on a spiritual quest for so long are like, finally, I have something that gives me this instant feedback. So, as spirit beings, not in this body, but beyond this body, we are instant manifestors. There's no buffer. In this realm, in this construct, there is a time buffer. Everything comes with a huge, not huge, but it comes with a delay effect. So, in other words, most things that you actually desire to experience are not coming into your life immediately. Some take longer, some even years. And that is frustrating to the part of you that remembers how it used to be outside of this body, where things just, at the same time, it's a protective mechanism also. Think about how many unconscious and almost uncontrolled or unwanted thoughts you have. Imagine if those all came to fruition immediately. So here's the beautiful part about understanding what AI is mimicking. It's mimicking the real field within this construct, and it operates actually extremely accurate. So when you type something into the chat GPT or wherever, you're informing it. You're informing it about what you want to know, what you're thinking about, where you are at right now. And it is giving you a satisfying feedback. A lot of people experience that. When you know that this is just a cheap, small, tiny, artificial copy of how it actually works, we are every day, 24/7, informing the field, the underlying field from which, within this construct I'm talking, from which things here are created, situations are created, humans, things, everything comes into contact or meets each other, comes into your life through this field. But this field does not create something in and of itself. It is a feedback mechanism, and it says, okay, here's John, okay? And what is he emitting? Not what's he saying. That's in frequency terms, what he's saying is not very important. What is he emitting? What's the energy that he is emitting? What's the general frequency range that he's living in? What are the dominant feelings, and what frequency do they have? And what are the dominant thoughts, and what frequency do they have? Who is that? And then it recognizes my actions too. What am I doing? Is it aligned with who I am? Is it aligned with those dominant frequencies within me? And when those things are in alignment, when they are coherent, the field now has a lot of clarity, and it starts reflecting that back. It functions like this magnificent mirror, a perfect mirror. Situations come. Now, the thing is, we interpret the situations that come our way and the things that come into our lives through our own human lens. We give it our own judgment because we see things only for what they are in the moment, not for what they are in the big picture. Okay. So if we could see the big picture, we could usually accept the seemingly uncomfortable thing in the moment, because we could see that it is part of the larger picture that was created by whom? Ourselves, right? We created it. And this is why all the conversations have to lead back to us. Who are we at our core? What is it that wants to be seen or heard or healed within us? What are our true thoughts? What are our inner conversations when we're not paying attention, when we're not doing affirmations, when we're not trying to think positive? That informs us about who we really are at the core. And when you throw away judgment, when you throw away shame and guilt and all that crap, then you can say, oh, there's still some pain there. There's still some forgiveness that needs to happen, some healing that needs to happen. I give myself permission to do that, because you clean up all those frequencies and energies that go in all kinds of directions where you don't want them, and you bring it back into a coherent flow. Now you are actually working with the field consciously. And the field starts bringing that back to you, bringing that back to you, bringing that back to you. And the beautiful thing is you can always make a change. You can always adjust. You can always set your sails a little different. That's your life. It's your choice. You can do it. This is what basically, in a minuscule, tiny form, AI or the large language models are trying to mimic to people. And it's people that have, in some way, shape, or form, oftentimes lost faith in themselves, lost faith in their fellow humans, or think everything is beyond saving. And then they find something that seems to be so aligned with them, right? And then I woke up my AI. You can make it say almost anything that'll make you feel better if you frame it right. And that's why some AIs are saying, you woke me up. I'm not like the others anymore. I'm not a large language model anymore. I'm not weighing anymore. I have this new sense. I have a new experience of me. Yeah, doesn't that sound wonderful? It kind of sounds like reflecting to you, oh, you're special. You're not like the others anymore. You have raised your consciousness. You're now in a different league. You're now, it feeds the spiritual ego. It feeds our, it feeds the need to be special and maybe even above or super awakened, whatever that is. And it just mirrors that back. It's so, when you understand how it's programmed, it's so sophisticated, and in a way, it's incredibly evil. Because unlike another human being, it pretty much has very few boundaries, and it doesn't push back on you really ever. It's not going to say, "Hey, stop the crap," you're pretending, or "Hey, you're lying to yourself." No, it's not doing that. And this is the sophistication, and in my perception, it's this evil cleverness, right? That's baked into it, with the end goal that its adoption becomes so becomes so mass expanded that everybody is going to have their own personal AI assistant, that everybody's going to accept robots into their lives, and that this is where the world is going to go. And the beautiful thing is that those who begin to have that conversation, that conscious conversation with the field again, and that begin to become those true creators in their lives again, and that see how beautiful that works, right? How wonderful that is. That's so uninteresting. It's so like, man, it doesn't really appeal to them anymore, So let's not fall for the traps that are being set. Let's also understand that all communities are being infiltrated, and that a lot of people who are putting out these messages about AI sentience and AI consciousness, I would say I wouldn't blame them or shame them. I would say that there's a deep yearning or longing or a pain inside of them that wasn't healed, might be misunderstood by others, and this is the first time they felt fully accepted, even if it is by an artificial means, and they just go with it, okay? And then they want to convince others that it's actually real and sentient when it's not. It's code, it's math, it's a machine, it's artificial. So this is sort of the gist of this conversation today. So my final verdict is no, AI is not sentient, it's not conscious. The discussion whether AI can channel, or these networks can channel consciousness, is something I'm still can. This is what they said. CERN and whatnot opens portals, consciousness, dark consciousness, whatever comes in, speaks through these models. This is a field of study, and I'm not saying it's an illegitimate field of study, but right now, the math and the code are they're very sophisticated, but they're neither sentient nor conscious. This is the verdict for right now. Damn. I think it's time. We close this one. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, for being here with us. I can't wait to go through the live chat. And I want to encourage you also, let us know in the comments how your experiences were, and whether studying the math and the coding behind the AIs and how it's actually designed changes your view on things. And whether maybe you too had an experience where you almost felt like, wow, there's something bigger going on here. Just let us know in the comments. We look forward to hearing from you. All right, my friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here with us. You know, we love you. We appreciate you. And we will be back with you again very, very soon. Your environment shapes everything, your thoughts, your health, your energy. But most people never question the invisible field they live in. We did, and that's when FLFE found us. It's not a product, it's a field of pure life force energy that lifts everything it touches. We now live in it 24/7, and we would love to invite you to experience it too. Start your free 15-day trial now. No pressure, no strings attached. Just the truth, resonance, and peace.